Good morning. This one is called Feasts. I'm pretty sure I have them all, but they might just be said differently. But it's Leviticus 23, it'll be the entire thing. But I'll read these out first, and then I'll read the word. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only, and he's extremely jealous. He's so jealous that he doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones to come to our lips. And Yah is short for Yahweh, Yahweh, Yod-He, Vav-He. It's like saying Dan, Daniel, Daniel with an E. What is the difference and does matters when people say that Phil, Bob, Sam, and Aaron are the same name when no they're not, and no one in their right mind would ever believe that. And only a fool would believe that a hammer could force its creator to do anything, and there was no letter J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Aramaic text because the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yahoshua, died on a stake for the sins of all of humanity over 2,000 years ago. And a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yahoshua is Joshua, and I strongly believe that the son of Elohim's name, Yahoshua, means Yahweh is salvation. I think one of the best reasons for taking both the first writings and the second writings when giving a study is because you have to. It captures a wider audience because there's the greasy gracers and the works only, and they both need to understand that they're both in the wrong and they're both equally in the wrong, and that they both need to accept each other. It has to be both of them. That's the only way. Both of them. So it's good to take from the first writings and the second writings, because then it really points out that, hey, both of these are really needed. Both of you need to grow up. Excuse me. So the first one I came across, and I'm pretty sure these are not in order compared to the word, so excuse that. Passover, first new moon, 14th of the first new moon, between the evenings. Leviticus 23:5, Matzot, Matzot, first new moon, 15th of the first new moon, Leviticus 23:6. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. I've learned, not sure how truthful it is, potentially, that flat bread is without leaven. So it's unleavened bread, so it's flat bread. So, I mean, like, I guess just check the ingredients when you're buying flatbread or making... I mean, if you're making flatbread, then don't use leaven and you're good. You know? And I'm pretty sure leaven is yeast, but I could be mistaken, so please don't quote me on that. First day is a Sabbath, and the seventh day is a Sabbath of Matzot. And then Sabbath, 6 days work, and on the seventh day rest. Teru, Teru apostrophe AH, is on. It's a festival of remembrance, but it'll tell you in there anyway. Like, I'll read it so it makes more sense. But seventh new moon, first day of the new moon, it is a Sabbath. Yom HaKippurim, YOM HaKippurim, HAKIPPURIM. Seventh new moon, 10th of the new moon. It's also a Sabbath. Yeah, and Leviticus 23, 1 to 44. I'll read that later. Yes, continuing on. The 9th day of the 7th new moon is a Sabbath. So the 9th day before the 10th new moon, which is Yom HaKippurim. So before the day before is a Sabbath, so a day of rest. And then Sukkot, Sukkot, 7th new moon, 15th day of new moon. It's also a Sabbath. 7 to 8 days. It's actually 7 days that you... 7 days is the festival, but the 8th day afterwards is a Sabbath. Festival of Yahweh, 7th new moon, 15th day of new moon, 1st day and 8th day are a Sabbath. So those two are actually together. Sukkot and the Festival of Yahweh are celebrated together. First day and eighth day are a Sabbath. And then it's just scripture. So I'm just going to read Leviticus 23, and then we'll go to Matthew. Awesome. So Leviticus 23. Sorry, Tom. Give you a nudge right there. Excuse me. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, Mosheh, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, Yisra apostrophe E with a half a check mark L, and say to them, The appointed times of Yahweh which you are to proclaim as set apart gatherings, my appointed times are these. 6 days' work is done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of rest, a set-apart gathering. You do no work. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, set-apart gatherings, which you are to proclaim at their appointed times in the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon. Between the evenings is the Pesach, P-E with a half a check mark, S-A-H with a dot, which is Passover, to Yahweh. And on the 15th day of this new moon is the festival of Matzot, M-A-T-Z-O-T, and Matzot is unleavened bread, and Pesach is Passover. Where am I at? Yes. And on the 15th day of this new moon is moon is in fancy English, because it's not actually like when I say the first new moon in my mind, because it's the system I was raised in, the pagan calendar, Jan and Feb, and I just don't want to say their names or worshiping of them, which is what it is, and so I just say new moon, even though it's incorrect. That's just the way I do it. Maybe I'll somehow the 24-hour clock. I started when I was a kid, so maybe it'll just take a few years of getting used to saying the months as they actually are. The first new moon, whichever month that actually is, the third or the fourth pagan month or whatever it is, that I'll be able to know that and click to, which would be really cool. Yes, Festival of Matzot to Yahweh. 7 days you eat unleavened bread, and you're also not allowed to have any leaven in your household. On the first day you have a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh for 7 days. Again, you don't have to make the offering, because Yahoshua became that sacrifice. So you no longer have to make the sacrifices, but the festivals are still very important, because now you eat bread as a remembrance of his body, and you drink wine as a remembrance of his blood. There's the sacrifice right there. So it's not done away with. It's just a slight tweak, because, Yahweh wants people to be saved. He doesn't want only the rich or anyone who can make a sacrifice to make a sacrifice, because no poor person can do that. And like he said, if you're rich, there's a better chance of a camel going through the eye of a needle than for you to make it into the kingdom of heaven. So I'm pretty sure he wouldn't just not make a sacrifice so that only the rich could make it. That's contradicting itself. There clearly was a sacrifice for our sins. And it's good to remember at every feast. On the seventh day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. I can't do that. I don't actually know any priest that is legit, other than the Catholic Church right down the way, and they're not legit. They're just priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh for your acceptance on the morrow, like not tomorrow, but on the morrow, so it's the same thing. It's just cool how they say the morrow. After the Sabbath, the priest waves it, and on that day when you wave the sheaf, you shall prepare a male lamb, a year old, a perfect one, as an ascending offering to Yahweh. That is a parable / prophecy of what was to come. A male lamb, a perfect one, as an ascending offering to Yahweh for your sins. And its grain offering 2/10 of an ephah, with a half a check mark, PHAH, a fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, a sweet fragrance, and its drink offering 1/4 of a hin of wine. And you do not eat bread or roasted grain or fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Elohim, Elohim, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So you don't have to make a blood sacrifice, but if you have a field or you like grow things, you should always give your first fruits to Yahweh. A law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourselves 7 completed Sabbaths. Until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahweh. Bring from your dwellings for a wave offering 2 loaves of bread of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven, first fruits to Yahweh. And besides the bread you shall bring 7 lambs, a year old, perfect ones, and 1 young bull and 2 rams. They are an ascending offering to Yahweh with their grain offering and their drink offerings, and offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And you shall offer 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs, a year old, as a slaughter of peace offerings, and the priest shall wave them. Besides the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before Yahweh, besides the 2 lambs, they are set apart to Yahweh for the priest. And on this same day you shall proclaim a set-apart gathering for yourselves, and you do no servile work on it, a law forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. When it says forever, it means it's never ending. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you do not completely reap the corners of your field when you reap, and do not gather any gleaning from your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am Yahweh your Elohim. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you have a rest, a remembrance of Turah, TERU', lit soundings by instrument or human voice. A remembrance of soundings by instrument or human voice. A set-apart gathering, you do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, On the 10th day of the 7th new moon is Yom HaKippurim, the Day of Atonement, or Day of the Coverings. It shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall afflict your being, and shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh, and you do no work on that same day, for it is Yom Kippurim, to make atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim. For any being who is not afflicted on that same day, he shall be cut off from his people, and any being who does any work on that same day, that being I shall destroy from the midst of his people. You do no work, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is a Sabbath of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings on the 9th day of the new moon at evening. From evening to evening you observe your Sabbath. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th new moon is the festival of Sukkot, Sukkot, booths, festival of booths, for 7 days to Yahweh. On the first day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day there shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, which you proclaim as set-apart gatherings to bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. You don't have to do that because Yahoshua became that. An ascending offering and a grain offering, a slaughtering and drink offerings, as commanded for every day, besides the Sabbath of besides the Sabbaths of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings which you give to Yahweh on the 15th day of the 7th new moon, when you gather in the fruit of the land. Celebrate the festival of Yahweh for 7 days. On the first day is a rest, and on the 8th day is a rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of good trees, branches of palm trees, twigs of leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim for 7 days, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahweh for 7 days in the year, a law forever in your generations. Celebrate it in the 7th new moon, which apparently was last month. Dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native born in Israel dwell in booths, so that your generations know that I made the children of Israel dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh your Elohim. Thus did Moshe speak of the appointed times of Yahweh to the children of Israel. That was the first time it said, all who are native born in Israel dwell in booths, rather than Israel alone. So I'm pretty sure that part, native born, I don't know what that means. Does that mean you were, like, originally there? In which case, then, yeah, do it. But I actually want to do that. Like, I have a tent. I could stick it up in the backyard there. 7 days I'll just hang out in the tent. Well, 7 days I'll sleep in the tent. That's pretty cool. The next one. Okay, that one's done. So the next one is Matthew 5:18. Matthew 5:18. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, 1 yod or 1 tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. F. Luke 16:17. Anyways. 1 John 2:23-26. 1 John 2 23 to 26. No one denying the Son has the Father. The one confessing the Son has the Father as well. As for you, let that stay in you which you heard from the beginning. If what you heard from the beginning stays in you, you shall also stay in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise that he has promised us, everlasting life. I have written this to you concerning those who lead you astray. Because there will be plenty of those. John 17, 1 to 26. John 17. 1 to 26, the whole thing, okay. Yahoshua said these words and lifted up his eyes to the heaven and said, Father, the hour has come, esteem your Son, so that your Son also might esteem you, as you have given him authority over all flesh, that he should give everlasting life to all whom you have given him. And this is everlasting life, that they should know you, the only true Elohim, and Yahoshua Messiah, whom you have sent. I have esteemed you on the earth, having accomplished the work you have given me that I should do, and now esteem me with yourself, Father, with the esteem which I had with you before the world was. I have revealed your name to the men whom you gave me out of the world. They were yours, and you gave them to me, and they have guarded your word. It says A. No, okay. Now they have come to know that all you gave to me is from you, because the words which you gave to me I have given to them, and they have received them, and have truly known that I came forth from you, and they believe that you sent me. I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours, and all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been esteemed in them, and I am no more in the world, but these are in the world. And I come to you, set apart, Father, guard them in your name which you have given me, so that they might be one as we are one. As we are. When I was with them in the world, I was guarding them in your name which you have given me, and I watched over them, and not one of them perished except the son of destruction, that the scripture might be filled. And now I come to you, and I speak these words, fancy English words in the world, so that they have my joy completed in them. I have given them your word, and the world hated them because they are not of the world, as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the wicked one. One, fancy English, talking about Satan. They are not of the world, as I am not of the world. Set them apart in your truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I also sent them into the world, and for them I set myself apart, so that they too might be set apart in truth. And I do not pray for these alone, but also for those believing in me through their word, so that they all might be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, so that they might be one in us. There's that us again in First Genesis, or Genesis 1:26 or 25 to 26, or 26 to 27. 25 to 27 won't hurt. So that they too might be one in us, so that the world might believe that you have sent me, and the esteem which you gave me I have given them, so that they might be one as we are one. I in them, and you in me, so that they might be perfected into one, so that the world knows that you have sent me and have loved them as you have loved me. Father, I desire that those whom you have given me might be with me where I am, so that they see my esteem which you have given me, because you loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, indeed the world did not know you, but I knew you, and these knew that you sent me, and I have made your name known to them, and shall make it known, so that the love with which you loved me might be in them, and I in them. Amen to that. John 5:19 to 25. John 5:19 to 25. Therefore Yahoshua responded and said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, the Son is able to do none at all by himself, but only that which he sees the Father doing, because whatever he does, the Son also likewise does. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself does, and greater works than these he is going to show him, in order that you be marveled. For as the Father raises the dead and makes alive, even so the Son makes alive whom he wishes. For the Father judges no one, but has given all the judgment to the Son, and all should value the Son even as they value the Father. He who does not value the Son does not value the Father who sent him. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me possesses everlasting life, and does not come into judgment, but passes from death into life. Truly, truly, I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, and when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of Elohim, and those having heard shall live. Amen. I'm actually going to read John 14:20 to 26 before I read Hebrews 10. Because it'll be Hebrews 10 and Hebrews 11. John 14, 20 to 26. In that day you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. He who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who loves me, and he who loves me shall be loved by my Father, and I shall love him and manifest myself to him. How many is that? Oh, 26, okay. Yehuda, Yehud, with a line underneath of it, AH, not the one from Querioth, Qerioth, said to him, Master, what has come about that you are about to manifest yourself to us and not to the world? Yahoshua answered, said, If anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come to him and make our stay with him. He who does not love me does not guard my words, and the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. These words, fancy English, words I have spoken to you while still with you, but the Helper, the set apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you. Amen. Hebrews 10 and Hebrews 11. Like the full things. I'm sorry. Hebrews 10 and Hebrews 11. It was just so good when I was reading it that I'm just going to read it anyways. For the Torah having a shadow of the good matters, fancy English, matters to come, and not the image itself of the matters, as never, oh sorry, and not the image itself of the matters, was never able to make perfect those who draw near with the same slaughter offerings which they offer continually year by year. Otherwise would they not have ceased to be offered, because those who served, once cleansed, would have had no more consciousness of sins. But in those offerings fancy English, is a reminder of sins year by year, for it is impossible for blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. Therefore, coming into the world, he says, slaughtering and meal offering you did not desire, but a body you have prepared for me. In ascending offerings and offerings for sin you did not delight. Then I said, see, I come. In the roll of the book it has been written concerning me, to do your desire, O Elohim. Saying above, slaughter and meal offering and ascending offerings and offerings for sin you did not desire nor delighted in, which are offered according to the Torah. Then he said, see, I come to do your desire, O Elohim. He takes away the first to establish the second, but that desire we have been set apart. By that desire we have been set apart through the offering of the body of Yahoshua Messiah once for all. See, it makes it clear there. If you only read that first part where it says he takes away the first to establish the second, people could say, well, that means he's throwing away the first writings and we only have to accept the second writings. But if you keep reading, it tells you what he took away. He took away the blood sacrifice, because Yahoshua became that blood sacrifice. The first being the blood sacrifice of the animals, and the second being Yahoshua's sacrifice. And indeed, every priest stands day by day doing service and repeatedly offering the same slaughter offerings, which are never able to take away sins. But he, having offered one slaughter offering for sins for all time, sat down at the right hand of Elohim, waiting from that time onward until his enemies are made a footstool for his feet. For by one offering he has perfected for all time those who are being set apart, and the set apart Spirit also witnesses to us. For after having said before, this is the covenant that I shall make with them after those days, says Yahweh, giving my laws into their hearts, and in their minds I shall write them. Jeremiah 31:33. And their sins and their lawlessness I shall remember no more. Now where there is forgiveness of these, there is no longer a slaughter offering for sin. So brothers, having boldness to enter into the set apart place by the blood of Yahoshua, by a new and living way which he instituted for us through the veil that is his flesh, and having a high priest over the house of Elohim, let us draw near with a true heart in completeness of belief, having their hearts sprinkled from a wicked conscience and our bodies washed with clean water. Let us hold fast the confession of our expectation without yielding, for he who promised is trustworthy. Let us be concerned for one another in order to stir up love and good works, for not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging, and so much more as you see the day coming near. For if we sin purposely after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a slaughter offering for sins. This type of sinning is in contrast with sinning ignorantly. But some fearsome anticipation of judgment and a fierce fire which is about to consume the opponents, Isaiah 26:11. Anyone who has disregarded the Torah of Moshe dies without compassion on the witness of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment do you think shall he deserve who has trampled the Son of Elohim underfoot, counted the blood of the covenant by which he has a part as common, and insulted the Spirit of favor? For we know him who has said, vengeance is mine, I shall repay, says Yahweh. And again, Yahweh shall judge his people. Deb 32, 35 to 36. It is fearsome to all into the it is fearsome to fall into the hands of the living Elohim, but remember the former days when after you were enlightened you endured a great struggle with sufferings. On the one hand you were exposed to reproaches and pressures, and on the other hand you became sharers with those who were so treated. For you sympathized with me in my chains, and you accepted with joy the seizure of your possessions, knowing that you have a better and a lasting possession for yourselves in the heavens. Do not then lose your boldness, which has great reward, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the desire of Elohim, you receive the promise. For yet a little while he who is coming shall come and shall not delay, but the righteous shall live by belief. But if anyone draws back, my being has no pleasure in him. But we are not of those who draw back to destruction, but of the belief of the preservation of life. Hebrews 11. And belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. For by this the elders obtained witness. By belief we understand that the ages were prepared by the word of Elohim, so that what is seen was not made of what is visible. By belief Habel, Heb, with a line underneath of it, El, offered to Elohim a greater slaughter offering than Qayin, Qayin, through which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Elohim witnessing of his gifts, and through it, having died, he still speaks. By belief, Hanok, H with a dot, A-N-O-K with a line underneath of it, was translated so as not to see death, and was not found because Elohim had translated him. Ber 5:24. For before his translation he obtained witness that he pleased Elohim, but without belief it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to Elohim has to believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who earnestly seek him. By belief, Noah, Noah with a dot, having been warned of what was yet unseen, having feared, prepared an ark to save his house, through which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to belief. By belief, Abraham, A-B with a line underneath of it, R-A-H-A-M, obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he was about to receive as an inheritance, and he went out not knowing where he was going. By belief, he sojourned in the land of promise as a stranger, dwelling in tents with Yitzhak, Y-I-T-S-H with a dot, A-Q, and Jacob, Y-A-apostrophe-A-Q-O-B with a line underneath of it, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking for the city having foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim. By belief also, Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, herself was enabled to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the normal age, because she deemed him trustworthy who had promised. And so from one and him as good as dead were born, as numerous as the stars of the heaven, as countless as the sand which is in the seashore. In belief all these died, not having received the promises. Well, I mean, like, they didn't understand the promises. Everlasting life isn't everlasting life here on earth while everything is still going on. You're still gonna die. Your flesh is still going to die. Just saying. In belief all these died, not having received the promises, but seeing them from a distance. Oh yeah, talking about the promised land. Well, they were grumblers, that's why they didn't receive the promised land. Not seeing them from a distance, welcomed and embraced them, and confessed that they were aliens and strangers on the land. For those who speak this way make it clear that they seek a fatherland, and yet if they had indeed kept remembering that place, fancy English, talking about Mitzrayim or Egypt, from which they had come out, they would have had chance to return now, but now they long for a better place, fancy English place, talking about heaven, that is a heavenly. Therefore Elohim is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he has prepared a city for them. By belief Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Yitzchak, and he who had received the promises offered up his only brought forth son, of whom it was said, in Yitzchak your seed shall be called, reckoning that Elohim was able to raise from even from the dead, from which he received him back as a type. By belief Yitzchak blessed Jacob and Esau, E with a half a check mark, SAW, concerning that which was to come. By belief Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph, YOSE with a half a check mark, PH, and did reverence on the top of his staff. By belief Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the outgoing of the children of Israel, and gave orders concerning his bones. By belief Moshe, having been born, was hidden 3 months by his parents, because they saw he was a comely child, COMELY, comely child, and were not afraid of the sovereign's command. By belief Moshe, having become great, refused to be called the son of the daughter of Pharaoh, choosing rather to be afflicted with the people of Elohim, rather to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a time, deeming the reproach of Messiah greater riches than the treasures in Mitzrayim, for he was looking to the reward. By belief he left Mitzrayim, not fearing the wrath of the sovereign, for he was steadfast as seeing him who is invisible. By belief he performed the Pesach, the Passover, PE with a half a check mark, SAH with a dot, and the sprinkling of blood, lest he who destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By belief they passed through the Red Sea, REDSEA, Red Sea, as by dry land, and when the Mitzrites tried it, they were drowned. MITSRITES, the Mitzrites tried it, they were drowned. By belief the walls of Jericho fell, YERIH with a dot O, fell, having been surrounded for 7 days. By belief Rahab, RAH with a dot AB with a line underneath of it, the whore, did not perish with those who did not believe, having received the spies with peace. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to relate of Gideon, GID with a line underneath of it, apostrophe ON, and Barak, BARAQ, and Shimshon, SHIMSHON, and Yiftah, YIPHTAH with a dot, also of David, DAWID with a line underneath of it, and Shemuel, SHEMU apostrophe E with a half a check mark L, and the prophets who through belief overcame reigns, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of wickedness were made strong, became mighty in battle, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back, fancy English, back their dead by resurrection, and others were tortured, not accepting release to obtain a better resurrection, and others had trial of mockings and floggings and more, of chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were tried, they were sawn in two, they were slain with the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, being in need, afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering in deserts and mountains and caves and holes of the earth. And having obtained witness through the belief, all these did not receive the promise, because when they went into the wilderness, again, they were grumbling, and again, your flesh is going to die. You don't know if they actually received the promise because they're sleeping. Elohim having provided what is better for us, that they should not be made perfect apart from us. Elohim having provided what is better for us, that they should not be made perfect apart from us. 1 Corinthians 11:23-29. 1 Corinthians. Look it back. It is back, yeah. I think I just passed right on over. 1 Corinthians 11. First Corinthians 11:23-29. For I received from the master that which I also delivered to you, that the master Yahoshua, in the night in which he was delivered up, took bread, and having given thanks, he broke it and said, Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same way also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the renewed covenant in my blood. As often as you drink it, do this in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the death of the master until he comes. So that whoever should eat this bread or drink this cup of the master unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the master. 29, okay. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of the bread and drink of that cup. For the one who is eating and drinking unworthily eats and drinks judgment to himself, not discerning the body of the master. Because of this, many are weak and sick among you, and many sleep. So many just die. Revelations 19:9. And he said to me, Right, blessed are those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, These are the true words of Elohim. Matthew 26:26-28. Matthew 26:26-28. And as they were eating, Yahoshua took bread, and having blessed, broke and gave it to the taught ones and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And taking the cup and giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying, Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood, that of the renewed covenant, which is shed for many for the forgiveness of sins. He died for the sins of all of humanity, but it's only for those who are willing to accept it, and that's why he says many, because not everyone is going to say yes to it. Exodus 34. Exodus 34:22-28. And perform the festival of Shabbut, Shabbut, S-H-A-B with a line underneath of it, U''O''T, festival of weeks. For yourself, for the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering, D, festival of Sukkot, booths. So the festival of ingathering is the festival of booths. I already have that one down. At the turn of the year, E. Where am I? Turn of the year. 3 times in the year, all your men are to appear before the master Yahoshua, the master YahWeh, the Elohim of Israel, For I dispossess nations before you, and shall enlarge your borders, and let no one covet your land when you go up to appear before Yahweh your Elohim 3 times in the year. Do not slay the blood of my slaughtering with leaven, and do not let the slaughtering of the festival of the Pesah remain until Passover. Pesah is Passover. Let the first of the bring the first of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yahweh your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. And Yahweh said to Moshe, write these words, for according to the mouth of these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. And he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread and did not drink water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. Numbers 28:26. What's it is? Numbers 28. (28:26). And on the day of the first fruits, when you bring a new grain offering to Yahweh at your festival of Shabbut, you have a set apart gathering. You do no servile work. Yeah. Hold on, there's another one here. Day of Soundings. I mean, there's a couple. Oh, I'm already on the back, so yeah. That was the end of that, but I'm going to... This 29a, it says Day of Soundings or Noisings, and I'm going to go look for it. Oh! Yom Tira. YOMTERU'(AH) for you. And in the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you have a set apart gathering. You do no servile work. It is Yom Tira for you, and you shall prepare an ascending offering. You don't have to do that anymore. 7 lambs a year, perfect ones for a reason. But that is Day of Soundings or Noisings. Like noise and then noisines. Anyways, that is the feasts. I mean, you can always do your own research and dig deeper, of course, and I strongly suggest that. And I obviously did not get every single one that I wanted to. There was one that I was missing. The one, I think maybe I got it. Maybe I got it. And maybe it's just reworded differently. I think I got it, but the part where in the word it says, if you do not love the Father, then you don't love the Son, and that if you love the Son, then you love the Father, and if you love the Son, then you'll do as He says, and He says that you have to do what Yahweh says, and if you do what Yahweh says, then then you actually love Him. Because you can say you love someone, but if you don't actually show you love them, then you clearly don't love them, And He says, if you love me, you'll keep my word. Which is this word. All 66 of them. Anyways. Praise Yahweh for this beautiful day. And it rained. Oh, so beautiful. It smells amazing.